Okay, give me a second and we can start.
Hello, everybody.
Emily, you can share your screen a bit, Emily, but only for 1 minute. I will start the recording soon and we can start soon. Yes, indeed, participants do not have access to their microphone and webcams, but you can write your questions anytime in the chat. Andrea, you can start anytime you want.
Okay. I think that you can stop the sharing of the screen.
No screen is shared, Andrea. Nothing is shared.
I can see the logo of the Europe on the screen. So I think that we start. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Andrea. I'm the Director of Operations of Water Europe, which is the European water technology platform. We are here today for an event which is focused on nature-based solutions. And this is a Water Projects Europe, which is a series of events of Water Europe made in collaboration with EU-funded projects that focus on the achievements of projects, the results, which project can create synergies, can discuss around challenges, opportunities, solutions that could have an impact on further research and innovation, on legislation, on policymaker, and for the market uptake of potential solutions coming from research and innovation projects. Today, as I said in the beginning, we are going to discuss about the role of nature-based solutions. And this Water Project Europe is made in collaboration with the project Multisource. And Multisource is a project for which Water Europe is one of the partners. And today we are discussing about the pressure, the challenge, and opportunities for the development of nature-based solutions to support our society, the sustainability of our society, particularly from an urban water perspective. And today we invited 5 projects to speak and to discuss about this pretty sensitive issue. And today we have the Multisource project, of course. Then we have the NICE project, Hydrusa, the UNA Lab, and Connecting Nature. And all of them will speak and present the project and highlighting their experience, and I said, the challenges, the pressures, and the opportunities given from their perspective on nature-based solutions. In addition to that, of course, we have a keynote speaker from SINTEF, Kemal Azragi, who is also the leader of the working group of Water Europe on MBS. But at the same time, and before starting and leaving the mic to Jamie and Nivala, who is the coordinator of the Multisource project from IRAI, I would like just to mention, a sentence, because I think that that a few weeks ago, the European Commission published a very interesting report about the vital role of nature-based solutions in a nature-positive economy. It's quite an important document which collects a lot of of opinions and information on NBS and the state of the art, as well as, I mean, some of the challenges and what could be the possible development. But I was really impressed from the first sentence of the executive summary that I can read it. It said, business as usual is destroying and degrading ecosystems, which are the basis for our societies and economies. I think that's crystal clear. And of course, this publication goes toward the direction of proposing nature-based solutions are possible, important contributor in order to avoid that our ecosystems are being continuously degraded and destroyed. Just, I mean, a set of data. From the 70s, European freshwaters have lost something like 70-75% of the biodiversity, which is an impressive figure. It's really impressive. So it is clear that really we cannot go ahead and doing business as usual, and we need new solutions. We need new systemic approach. We need to accept and to implement, to deploy the change for our society. And I'm 100% sure that nature-based solutions represent really an important point in order to have this change happening for real in our society and economies. I don't want to take more time than necessary, and I'm happy to give the floor to Jamie Nivala. She's the coordinator of the Multisource project. And Jamie, you are welcome. The floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you for the very wonderful introduction. I don't have much more to say about that. And to keep things on due time, I would just like to introduce myself as the coordinator of Multisource. I'm a senior scientist at the National Research Institute for Agriculture, Food and Environment, INRAE, located in Lyon, France. And I am very pleased to have been part of the creation of this event. And thank you to our presenters today who have taken time out of their schedules to prepare this targeted discussion today. And I think it will be very fruitful, and I'm looking forward to all of the presentations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jamie. And so now we enter into the many issues of that are related to nature-based solutions. And we can start with the keynote. As I said, it's Kamal Azraqi from SINTEF. He's also the leader of the working group on NBS. And Kamal, you're welcome to start your presentation. And please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Jamie. Just a second, I have to set up my slides. Okay, now I'm ready. So today I will try to give you an overview on how nature-based solutions can contribute to water smart societies by addressing different challenges, societal challenges, such as unsustainable urbanization, climate change, biodiversity loss, and the degradation of the ecosystem services. So this presentation has been prepared by myself. I'm senior researcher at SINTEF, and my expertise covers mostly water and wastewater treatment, as well as stormwater treatment as well, and sustainability assessment. And my co-author is Frédéric Cherki. He's an associate professor at INSA Lyon, and his expertise covers sewer and stormwater control asset management, as well as low-cost monitoring of water infrastructures. And we are both leading the working group on nature-based solutions at Water Europe. So some words about this working group. We try to foster the research, development, and implementation of nature-based solutions. And we do that through various activities, such as exchanging information and results with different members who are scientists, practitioners, policymakers, SMEs, and NGOs. We discuss different classes and variations of NBS. We provide input to European Commission for future research programs through white papers, workshops, and various communications. And we help also building consortiums to apply to European research calls. And I invite everyone who is a member of Water Europe to join the working group and our discussions. So in order to set the scene, I would like to start with some definitions. And so I will start with the water smart society. So what is a water smart society according to Water Europe? This is a society where true value of water is recognized and realized. And this implies, of course, to have that all available water sources are managed in a such way that water scarcity and pollution of groundwater are avoided. But it also implies that water and resource loops are largely closed to foster a circular economy and optimal resource efficiency. But all water systems are resilient against climate change. And of course, that all stakeholders are involved in the governance of our water systems. So beside the water smart society definition, I would like to mention also some definitions for nature-based solutions. What are nature-based solutions? And I would like to mention two main definitions. The one from the European Commission that defines nature-based solutions as solutions that are inspired and supported by nature, which are cost-effective and simultaneously providing environmental, social, and economic benefits, as well as helping build a resilience against climate change. The second one is from IUCN, and they define nature-based solutions as actions to protect, sustainably manage, and restore natural or modified ecosystems, addressing societal challenges effectively and adaptively, simultaneously providing human well-being and biodiversity benefits. So those two definitions are very closely, they are very close, but basically what they say is that we should bring more nature and natural process to urban and non-urban environments. So meaning that we should work with nature rather than against it. So nature-based solutions are a set of structural and non-structural interventions that protect, manage, restore, and create natural and nature-based features. They provide various benefits and address different societal challenges, including reducing disaster risks, such as flooding, erosion, landslides, droughts, extreme heat. They help to build climate resilience, while also contributing to restore biodiversity, creating opportunities for recreation, improving human health, water quality, water and food security, supporting communities with respect to their well-being and livelihood. So those are benefits that nature-based solutions can bring to the society. So now I would like to show you a bit the different types of nature-based solutions, because nature-based solutions is like umbrella of various approaches. Here on this slide, you see different type of NBS typologies that perform environmental services. All of these are, of course, nature-based solutions that can mitigate climate change or adapt and mitigate climate change. They are key allies in ensuring resilience so for climate change, whether it's too little water or too much water. So if we invest in a good water management through the use of nature-based solutions, which are very wise businesses and policy decisions, we would create resilience to climate change while supporting ecosystem services. On this slide, you can see an illustration of multitude ways of implementing nature-based solutions at different scales, performing a variety of functions and providing various benefits, leaving watersheds intact for safe and clean water supply. So, for example, protecting and restoring mangroves to reduce the storm impact on shorelines, improving infiltration using porous pavements, providing infiltration with bioretention using green spaces, treating wastewater using wetlands, and so on and so forth. Now, with respect to urban water management, I would like to mention 5 main nature-based solutions, which are open space and water bodies, constructed wetlands, bioretention areas of various types, rain garden, bioswales, planter boxes, green roofs, permeable pavements. So all of those NBS allows to improve the hydrological response of urban areas and obtaining additional benefits in terms of water quality, increased biodiversity, increased use of public area. So nature-based solutions is in urban area can be applied both on roads, squares, for requalification of urban and peri-urban green areas, and small water courses, to mention few. Now I would like to go a bit more in detail on some of the main nature-based solutions for cities. So I would like to start with this one on building solutions. So nature-based solutions in buildings have received increased attention during the recent years. These solutions include adding green surfaces to building roofs and facades, creating opportunities to capture, store, and reuse stormwater, improving air quality, and reduce temperatures in buildings and in the streets. So green roofs capture and store rainwater in soils and in the roof constructions, and both reduce peak stormwater load, lowering the stress on stormwater and sewerage systems. So the vegetation helps to absorb the solar irradiation, and together with the vegetative evapotranspiration, they allow to reduce building temperature and also cool the surrounding air. Other functions of those NBS include mitigation of loss of urban biodiversity, of course. They reduce also air pollution and can reduce the impact of droughts by promoting reuse of water that is stored in the roof. So the next solutions are terraces and slopes. Those solutions have been traditionally used in regions with steep topography and poor stabilized soil. So they help to protect the cities against various hazards such as floods, droughts, landslides, and mudslides. So terraces conserve water and soil by keeping them in place. They are able to capture and store stormwater and slowly release the excess. So these functions are of very high importance when you have extreme precipitation events which occur due to climate change. Other functions of terraces include improving soil and water quality, thanks to the improved buffering and filtering capacity of those terraces, thereby reducing groundwater and river pollution. They also help to provide extra supply of water to face period of droughts. So therefore, terraces are considered as very powerful water harvesting technique. The next one is bioretentions areas. They are typically designed as shallow vegetated depressions that can intercept, infiltrate, divert, change volumes and velocity, and treat stormwater flows. They are of various forms, as I already mentioned. So we can find, for example, bioretentions basins, vegetated swales, rain gardens, retention ponds, infiltration trenches, and detention ponds. They enhance biodiversity, deliver aesthetic, recreational, educational, and quality of life benefits. They reduce the impact of floods, mitigate peak water loads causing stress on sewage and stormwater systems. They also reduce heat by lowering the surface and air temperature through vegetative evapotranspiration. But they also help to reduce the contamination, such as organic pollutants, heavy metals, and nutrients present in stormwater. Last but not least, wetlands. So you may have, you have two types of wetlands, those that are natural and those that are constructed. Here I'm showing the example of constructed wetlands. And they are meant to provide very similar functions, both natural and constructed. So they use natural processes that are involving vegetation, soils, and associated microbial communities to treat water and provide other functions. They help to, for example, to protect against floods and help maintain water quality in ponds and rivers in good conditions. They also allow, of course, reuse of water. They help to recharge aquifers, and they contribute to conserve natural resources. They can also help to sequester carbon and help cities to adapt to climate change. And of course, they also offer several social benefits to communities and to biodiversity, providing habitat for a great variety of species. So as you understand, through those examples and benefits from nature-based solutions, European Commission has therefore put nature-based solutions very high in the agenda and in various strategies that we are developing. And you can see that recently, up to January 2021, European Commission has financed up to 30 EU projects, representing a budget of 282 million euros. And those projects have generated a large amount of knowledge, as well as scientific expertise and technological capability on nature-based solutions. So the lesson learned from those projects are various, and those projects have helped to demonstrate that nature-based solutions have a positive outcome on the interplay between biodiversity, ecosystem services, and urban green infrastructures, contributing therefore in many ways to water-smart societies. Therefore, nature-based solutions have emerged as the main policy driver for most transitional cities, because they can be used to create multifunctional arenas and fulfill multiple simultaneous societal, economic, and environmental objectives. However, many nature-based solutions remain novel solutions, presenting important challenges and unknowns in terms of their co-design, operation, maintenance, and how we organize their implementation. So, as mentioned earlier, the concept of nature-based solutions for climate change adaptation and disaster risk reduction is increasingly embedded in EU policies for sustainable development. However, better coherence across policy domains, prioritization at EU level, and more project design are still needed. Furthermore, there is a lack of quantitative and measurable targets relative to nature-based solutions with respect to their deployment and quality. And there is a room for increased cross-sectoral integration of nature-based solutions, related concepts, and increased provisions of funds to implement them. And there is, of course, a crucial need to involve stakeholders in dialogues and co-design of tools and measures. It's crucial to involve stakeholders, but also there is a need for more dialogue and co-design of tools and measures are key to increase awareness, to tackle potential stakeholders conflicts, and more effectively to create social acceptance and demand for nature-based solutions. And in that respect, water-oriented living labs can be definitely used to support the deployment of nature-based solutions and ensure that multi-stakeholders are engaged in their implementation. Finally, I would like to finish with an invitation to submit any work relevant for a special issue that we have in the journal Nature-Based Solutions from Elsevier. So this special issue is on grey-green infrastructure, because as you understand, nature-based solutions have to be kind of integrated to existing infrastructure, grey infrastructure, and therefore we would like to receive relevant studies where we combine grey and green infrastructures. So the deadline for this special issue is the end of this year. So please don't hesitate to submit your papers. Thank you for your attention.
Many thanks, Kamal. I think that we have seen a lot of things on NBS. I mean, and if we want to connect to the subtitle of this event, it's about challenges, pressures, and opportunities. I mean, we could find all of them. I mean, in your presentation, and I think that will be. There are a lot of things I mean to discuss during the discussion at the end of the presentations. We already have a lot, and I think that this lot will be, again, I mean, more than a lot after the presentations of the project, because now we will learn from each and every single project of this event how they're dealing with MBS, with the challenges, with the pressures, with what they see as an opportunity, or could be, I mean, what is the hindering factors or supporting factors, I mean, from research to innovation to market to policy. Because at the end of the day, I mean, what we need is really to have, I mean, a systemic approach in finding out solutions for a sustainable economy and society. So thank you very much once again for your presentation, and I welcome Maria Wirth, who is going to present the Multisource project, which is also the project under the umbrella we are organizing this Water Projects Europe today. Maria, you're very much welcome to present the Multisource project, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrea. Let me share my screen. Okay, so I'm fortunate to speak on the behalf of the Multisource project. My name is Maria Wirth. I work for Alchemia Nova GmbH from Austria, and we are a partner in the Multisource project. So to briefly introduce Multisource, so Multisource is short for Modular Tools for Integrating Enhanced Natural Treatment Solutions in Urban Water Cycles. You already know who is the coordinator. It's Jamie from INRAE from France. We were funded under the funding program Horizon 2020, of course. SC5 27-2020. So we haven't started too long ago. We started 1 year ago, actually. Budget is just over 5 million. And we started last June, and we are working for a total of 4 years. So our objectives are to, we're basically focusing on a subset of NBS, which deal with water treatment. And more specifically, one of our objectives is to demonstrate enhanced natural treatment systems, pilots in operational environments, to establish policy-oriented risk assessment for NBS for water treatment, to foster increased financial investments, and to increase transfer of international know-how and technical understanding of these enhanced natural treatment systems. We also are working to create a basis for the identification of the most suitable NBS for water treatment for a given context. Another big issue is to enable water stakeholders to assess and compare different spatial, environmental, and economic scenarios, basically to enable planning and implementation of NBS on a citywide scale. And then to increase urban water stakeholder engagement in the planning, implementation, and maintenance, and the long-term implementation and maintenance of NBS for water treatment. And finally, to improve the urban governance and policies for the implementation and facilitate processes to update existing standards. So here you have an infographic showing the concept for our approach in Multisource. So as mentioned, our overall objective is to promote the citywide integration of NBS into urban water cycles. So we are working at the interface of policy, environment, society, and the economy, in particular the circular economy. And for this purpose, we are promoting green financing strategies for the long term, implementation. Then risk assessment is a big task in our project. Citizen science approaches, public-private partnerships, and then also a range of other activities related to that. We have 8 work packages. The first one is in charge of the pilots, managing the pilots and monitoring and evaluation. The second work package is risk assessment. The third one is business models for long-term implementation of NBS for water treatment. Then the fourth work package is to develop a technology selection tool. And then the work package 5 is to develop the planning platform. Work package 6 is more transversal on stakeholder engagement and providing and developing the framework also for stakeholder engagement for the purpose of the other work packages. And then, of course, communication, clustering, and dissemination within the framework of which we're here today, and project management. So to answer one of the questions that we were basically instructed to answer in relation to our project is how Multisource contributes to climate change mitigation and adaptation. And we contribute to climate change mitigation by, of course, promoting nature-based solutions, which can capture carbon dioxide. You can store it as biomass. But perhaps more importantly, or more specifically, we contribute to climate change adaptation by promoting nature-based solutions that are designed to, first of all, reduce the pressure on urban sewage systems and the environment through providing solutions that enable local stormwater, rainwater retention and treatment, and also reuse. And our solutions are modular, and they enable to cost effectively adapt and expand urban water infrastructure to the increased heavy rainfall events due to climate change. The second big contribution is to increase water availability by capturing and treating stormwater, grey water, and wastewater for reuse. Our solutions are also applicable as decentralized solutions for decentralized treatment and reuse, and thereby enable to close water cycles locally. And here in these images below, you can see our 7 quite diverse pilots that basically demonstrate different types of NBS to treat raw domestic wastewater, pre-treated wastewater, rainwater, to treat combined sewer overflow, street runoff, to treat grey water for reuse, and high strength wastewater in specific conditions with various range of different setups and applicability to different types of urban infrastructures. The next question was basically how we contribute to building sustainable urban nature-based solutions in the environmental, social, and financial terms. So for the environmental dimension, we have a whole work package dealing with risk assessment based on the monitoring results of all the pilots. Then we are adapting the technologies for enhanced treatment capabilities, for their ability to capture and treat previously untreated discharges, so discharges that were previously, directly discharged to the environment. They can now be treated using NBS, where NBS are a very suitable type of solution for this. For safe water reuse, and of course, which is luckily a very common activity in these type of projects, that we will conduct an LCA for all of these technologies. Then on the social dimension, a big activity is the stakeholder engagement framework, which is being developed and which can be used for cities to incorporate NBS into their own urban environments. And then inclusive and gender sensitive research and design and implementation and evaluations. It's also a very transversal thing that is really mainstreamed into the whole Multisource project. And then finally, the economic and financial dimension. So we have a work package that is dedicated to co-developing new partnerships-based financing and management models for long-term continuation of pilots and or the replication. And then also cost-benefit analysis for public and private business models, catering to the different benefits and cost categories that are relevant for the different stakeholders. So basically, we selected three main needs that we have seen in terms of institutional or policy instruments that could ensure the long-term sustainability and scalability of NBS for water treatment. The first one relates to policy and financing instruments. So we've seen that urban development projects are often bound, which is a good thing, they're often bound to quantitative water retention limits or water discharge limits rather to the sewer systems. But that they often choose gray or monofunctional solutions due to path dependency, which is related to information, to resources that are available, and costs. And recommendations that we would like to highlight here are, it would be, for example, one solution here could be to specify requirements that qualify the types of solutions to basically retain water locally, or to request additional benefits in these, tenders, for example, which could favor nature-based solutions over gray. What would also be helpful is to have financing instruments that are specifically targeted at NBS for enhanced urban water management in terms of treatment, retention, and reuse capabilities. And then also a very important point, which we were also addressing a little bit in Multisource, is the adaptation of norms and standards. So this is something, when especially working in more with innovative types of nature-based solutions, we are often constrained or excluded due to norms and standards. And there's also a lot of uncertainty, which urban developers then choose against due to uncertainties due to lack of standards. The second big block is awareness and information. So what we've really seen is that key urban decision makers still widely lack awareness and information about the capabilities of NBS for water treatment or storage and reuse. And here, of course, quite straightforward, it would be great to intensify dissemination, which we're all working to do, and also to expand the target groups of this dissemination. For example, there are a lot of sustainability-oriented infrastructure developers or public and also private housing developers, real estate developers, who are simply not included in the typical dissemination channels that we usually use. And to mainstream NBS into education and to existing curricula. And the third one would be to bridge organizational silos. So due to the municipal departments have basically evolved in a sort of organic structure that separates key relevant competencies in relation to NBS and also NBS for water treatment. So they're separated in terms of the communication and also the sphere of influence. But we have seen that there are a lot of bodies being put in place to basically cross these silos. And yeah, it would be great to support the development of cross-silo strategies and the formation of organizational bodies to promote their achievements. For example, in Vienna, we have the urban heat island mitigation strategy, and to promote its achievement, there's now a climate change adaptation body that crosses different departments. where they discuss issues around climate change adaptation and they consult different departments. So this is a nice example. How does Multisource contribute to a water smart society? So first of all, through the pilots and the evaluation of the enhanced natural treatment systems for treatment, retention, recovery of rainwater and wastewater for safe reuses. Then increasingly water smart, perhaps through the stakeholder engagement frameworks and all the consultations and all the communication that we're doing with stakeholders and involving them in the development of different outputs of the project. To basically better understand them in terms of their needs, priorities, capacities, relevant interests, and opportunities for their involvement. And then, of course, also the digital tools that enable the integrated technology selection on the one hand, and also the citywide planning for a water smart society. And here I just placed some images of the quite detailed and extensive stakeholder analysis process, which one of our work packages has developed, and we're all actively using, and I would say it's been very helpful. And then on the right, you can see some images illustrating a little bit the planning tool. So on the top, you can see a map showing the different the surface ceiling degrees, based on urban blocks in Lyon, in France. Okay, and how do regulations and directives impact the implementation of NBS in urban areas, and in our case, NBS for water treatment? So just to sort of exemplify along the water reuse regulation and the water framework directive. The water reuse regulation has already proven to open the possibilities for increased acceptance, permitting, and the demonstration of innovative technologies that can recover water for reuse in agriculture. For example, in our in-house experience, we were able to get a permit of for a water reuse unit, and we wouldn't have been able to demonstrate it within the wastewater management domain. So the water reuse regulation has basically supported us to successfully implement a demonstration site. Then a supporting factor of the water framework directive. This also opens markets for NBS. For example, our Italian pilot treats combined sewer overflow, and this is a very high potential solution to improve the water quality in the rivers in the whole of Lombardia, basically, because the pollution from untreated combined sewer overflow is a significant contributor to the water quality that is does not comply with the water framework directive. And hindering factors or limitations that we see in these in the water reuse regulation is that monitoring is very costly. The monitoring requirements for the reuse in agriculture are quite extensive and costly, which limits the small scale decentralized applications. And of course, there are potential solutions that are being tested and developed. For example, low cost sensors for improved operational control and automation. And also it currently only covers reuse for agriculture. So this is a bit limiting in the scope or the types of reuses, in particular when we're looking at urban areas, because irrigation for agriculture is just limited here. And also both the water reuse regulation and the water framework directive are not specific to NBS, of course, but they do open more possibilities for NBS to be applied because they can support the compliance. And then to the discussion statements that we propose. So how could EU policies promote the planning, implementation, operation, and maintenance of decentralized water treatment, storage, and reuse? And the second one, in a context where water management is planned centrally, which governance practices, measures, projects, tools are needed to facilitate the integration of decentralized nature-based stormwater management technologies into existing urban environments? It's a bit lengthy and complex, but it's a question that would be really interesting to get some inputs from the whole group on. And that was it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria. Also, a comprehensive presentation on the Multisource project and the ambitions as well. The two last questions, already rolling into my mind, because I see that even for only one of the two, we might need, I don't know how much time, to discuss and find solutions, but really very good points. And I hope that there will be, and I'm sure that will be a discussion around these points as well, the others that will be presented by the other projects. Now we go ahead with the NICE project, which is a sister project of the Multisource. It means that it comes from the same core proposal. And I'm very happy to invite Diane Trevisan to present the features, the characteristics, and the performance of the NICE project at Water Project Europe on MBS. Diane, you're welcome to take the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Could you see the presentation?
Yes, it's visible. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. First, I would like the invitation to present the NICE project in this clustering. Thank you, Multisource and Water Europe. So my name is Diane Trevisan. I'm researching in CETIM. CETIM is a technological center in A Coruña, Spain. And we are the leaders of the NICE project. Well, actually, I think NICE is not only a project, it's an opportunity to innovative and enhance nature-based solutions for a sustainable urban water cycle. NICE is a project from Horizon 2020. Is a project with a duration of 48 months. We already started the project in the last year. And we have the participation of a huge list of partners that has experience in nature-based solutions. And considering the problems regarding the water as resource, as climate changes, pollution, and shortage of water, each day is growing the necessity to find solutions or to develop technologies to mitigate all these problems. So the key objectives of NICE project is to heighten the availability of enhanced nature-based solutions to provide a circular urban water solutions. Also, NICE will provide a key knowledge for the design and implementation of these technologies about nature-based solutions, closing urban water loops. So thinking about the main focus of the European Union biodiversity strategy for 2030, one of the main focus of this strategy is try to increase the green structures in Europe and also in other places in the world. So, these green structures is mainly for to support the cities to adapt to climate change effects and also to enhance the local biodiversity. So thinking this purpose of the biodiversity policy from European Union, the NICE will implement it and will help in this strategy, because in NICE will implement at least 9 urban real labs, which are nature-based solutions. These nature-based solutions will contribute with more than 20 meters squares of vegetated area for each systems in each city that we selected. And also these systems will use it for capture, for repurpose, and for treat different kinds of waters as waste waters, grey waters, and other kinds. So besides that, in addition, NICE will try to share all the knowledge about the systems to encourage the replication of the systems in other places. And also we'll try to identify the main barriers and opportunities to replicate these technologies. So NICE also will contribute with the main challenge, about the climate changes. With the NICE and with the nature-based solutions of the NICE project, will be possible to increase the water available, will be possible to decrease the diffuse pollution associated to stormy water and to combined sewer overflow. Also, with these technologies, it will be possible to reduce the flood events and mitigate the heat island in the cities. And also, with these technologies, will be possible to increase the climate changes gas sequestration during the project and, of course, in the future with the replication of these technologies. So, as I mentioned before, one of the technical objectives of the NICE is facilitate the application of these nature-based solutions in other places in the future. So for this, firstly, we will evaluate some barriers and some social conditions that has relation with the implementation of these technologies. And after, we will develop it to share after some models to maximize the co-effectiveness and co-benefits for the environment, for the economy, and for the society. Also, in NICE, we'll develop a portfolio with information about existing nature-based solutions, and we will develop a modeling software with data from the project and from other nature-based solutions to help and to support the replication of these technologies in other places. Also, we'll try to develop nature-based solutions cheaper to replicate. And we expected that all this data, all this information will help and will assist the business in opportunities for install these nature-based solutions for water treatment. So by the end, NICE and their technologies will contribute with the development of water smart cities. In that way, that NICE will integrate the nature-based solutions into a urban water cycle. Also, with these technologies, will be possible to reduce the pressure in freshwater resources. With NICE nature-based solutions, will be possible to increase the investments into nature water treatment solutions, and will be possible to contribute to adaptation of the cities to climate change, and will be possible to increase the water for reuse, and of course the water for availability in the cities, mainly in the cities that has a problem of shortage of water. And of course, all these technologies and all these solutions will improve the quality of urban water bodies, so helping the cities to develop in a water smart city. So considering that NICE, we try to reach different places and different cultures and different cities, one of the main challenges in this project right now is about the different requirements and standards about the use of about the reutilization of the treated water. Despite the regulation of Union Europe about the reuse of the water, this regulation has a focus on reuse in agriculture and irrigation. It has a stricter requirement to reuse. So I think this is the main challenge that we have now in NICE project. So one discussion that we want to leave, that I want to leave in this cluster, is about what is the main drivers and barriers towards the nature-based solutions, or which aspects are related to the problem to replicate, or a problem that to implement these technologies. Because we know that nature-based solutions have a lot of benefits for the cities, for the environment. So now, which are the main drivers and barriers and challenges for nature-based solutions, and of course for the water reuse with less requirements. So I open the discuss, and thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation, and I will be available for any question.
Thank you, Lian. Our pleasure to have you, to host you in this event, and the NICE project as well. Also here, I mean, I think that we saw a number of important remarks on what will be the future and the challenges of nature-based solutions, and the advantages of adopting nature-based solutions in cities, in urban environments, and why not, of course, beyond the urban environment in what we call a systemic approach to the sustainable management of water and the territories. We started this Water Project Europe with two projects, with, I said, I mean, that sister projects, because they were funded by the same call for proposal of Horizon 2020. And of course, also the level of maturity of this project is lower than ours because they started 1 year ago. But that is the reason also because we invited in this event other projects which have been working on nature-based solutions, which roots are deeper in terms of time and also in terms of perspective and views. And you start with a project, which is a project which we are, once again, I mean, honored to be a partner as well in Europe, which is the IDRUSA project. And the IDRUSA project also can provide, I mean, good examples on in real life environments. And there's a reason, one of the reasons for which I warmly invite Simos Malamis from National Technical University of Athens to take the floor and present the IDRUSA project. Simos, please take the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrea. Can you hear me well?
We can hear you perfectly.
Fantastic. And the presentation is up and running, right?
And the presentation is up and running as well.
Fantastic. So thank you, Water Europe and Multisource Project for the invitation. I'm glad to be here and present our work and what we have gained as experience through the project. As you mentioned, IDRUSA is a mature project. It's finishing its 4th year of implementation. It's coordinated by myself. I belong to the Sanitary Engineering Laboratory of the School of Civil Engineering of the National Technical University of Athens. So the project is actually not an urban, but a rural decentralized project. But there are very nice conclusions to be drawn that are applicable also for urban environment. It has been funded in the call Water in the Context of Circular Economy. So it's not a call of NBS, but it has several elements of green infrastructure being integrated within the grey infrastructure. And on the right, you can see the different IDRUSA loops, which we have developed. The main aspect in IDRUSA is to recover and valorize different non-conventional water sources in remote areas. And we do this also by integrating nature-based solutions. So we tackle with stormwater, rainwater, seawater, wastewater, with different applications and final uses, domestic non-potable use, agricultural irrigation service water, aquifer recharge. So I would like to give a picture of the main demo site that we have. That is, we have actually 6, but I think this one is the most prominent one. We actually treat the sewage of a village that is located in Lesbos Island. Lesbos is in the east part. It's very close to Turkey. And here we have integrated a 2-phase vertical flow constructed wetland coupled with anaerobic treatment and disinfection. And then the reclaimed water that is produced, which is rich in nutrients and free of pathogens, is used to irrigate, to fertirrigate actually an agroforestry field. So we have actually several issues that support biodiversity that I will discuss in the next slide. But we also have a diversified agricultural production system, that of the agroforestry, that combines trees, shrubs, and bushes, and can promote not only biodiversity but also an enhanced income for the farmers. The issue we had, and the main challenge, was the permitting, and first of all to convince the water utility not to go for a mainstream activated sludge process, but to go for this integrated NBS and anaerobic process, which they had never been implemented before. So that was one key issue. And the other issue is that we had to respect the Greek water law regarding water reuse, and their NBS solutions are not specified. They talk about mainstream solutions and of course solutions that could provide similar effect in terms of the water quality. So in terms of how the project supports the biodiversity strategy, I think in Idrousa, we have several elements. First of all, we apply the fertirrigation practice with recycling the nutrients locally. So we reduce a lot the fertilizers that we use. We use plant biostimulants, and we are able to reduce in this way through this recycling of nutrients, the loss in nutrients and the pollution that is caused. We apply multi-cropping practices like as agroforestry, organic farming practices, and permaculture practices. And we are investigating in the long run the effect of irrigating with a nutrient-rich wastewater and agroforestry field, and how this impacts the soil in terms of organisms. And so we have specialists that have developed a plan and are implementing a biodiversity assessment at the field. So challenges, as I mentioned before, replacing the mainstream wastewater treatment system of activated sludge process together with an MBS system, and social acceptance. We went through a co-design approach. We co-developed solutions with the local stakeholders. We co-developed the solution of the wastewater treatment with the water utility and the agroforestry with local farmers. So how our project contributes to climate mitigation and climate adaptation. In terms of climate adaptation, of course, we valorize non-conventional water sources. So we are conserving fresh water, but we are also establishing solutions such as bioswales that you can see on the bottom right, in order to combat the rural flooding and to recharge the aquifer. We are also addressing desertification issues. You can see the land, how it was before and after the establishment of the agroforestry system on the bottom left. And also, we are tackling climate change mitigation through the CO2 sequestration of the agroforestry, of the constructed wetlands that we are implementing. And of course, we are monitoring our solutions and try to minimize the energy and carbon footprint. Also, we integrate the NBS together with an anaerobic process that recovers energy in the forms of biogas that is upgraded to biomethane. So there is a very low energy and carbon footprint of the whole process. Now, we have worked very hard on the replication of our sites. All the demo sites are in Greek islands, but we have more than 25 case studies across the world. And to do this, we had a specific work package devoted to the replication of our solutions. And the way we worked was we assessed the environmental, social, the legislative, technical, and economic, let's say, parameters of our solutions. And we did a multi-criteria analysis, and we worked together with local replicators in different areas, in different world, in different contexts. We listened to them, what kind of problems they had. We implemented this analysis, and then we see which type of demonstration system of Idrousa would be more suitable to their needs. And then we also did some subcontract and field work. We had to have local feedback from stakeholders, but also investigation of the local context and the local legislation. And I'm happy to say that we have achieved that the system that I described, the wastewater treatment with NBS solution, is actually being implemented, which was not part of Idrousa, but it's a replication study that is going to be replicated by public money in Italy, in an island close to Tuscany, in Gorgona Island. And it started by working together with local stakeholders, and this also involved inmates. There is a prison there, it's a small island with a prison. So we work together, our Italian partners work together with inmates, and we were able to secure funds for the implementation of this case study. Another important parameter that is also reflected in the ISO standard of 59020 is the assessment of the circularity of our solutions. So within IDRUSA, one of our key partners developed the multi-sectoral water circularity assessment framework. Now, this is an assessment of the circularity potential of our solutions. We are using it in our IDRUSA solutions, but we also have big companies such as Jacobs that is using it in the tenders they are using in order to assess their solutions, the solutions that they propose in the tenders in terms of circularity. I saw Maria mentioned the costly monitoring of decentralized schemes, and she's right. A bottleneck of decentralized schemes is that the monitoring, if it's too expensive, it won't happen. So if you do a water reuse law and you have 2,000 parameters to monitor, they simply will refuse to reuse. So what we did in the project, we have developed a low-cost monitoring solution that is suitable mainly for farmers. It's very cheap, and it uses it integrates data from a meteorological station, from soil moisture sensors, water quality sensors, and other data. And it is energy autonomous, so it's very good for decentralized systems as it is powered by a photovoltaic system. And the extension of this from a rural to an urban environment, we applied it in IDRUSA in a rural environment, but then we have moved on into applying it in Trikala, a medium-sized city in central Greece. We have also implemented a DSS tool. Here is the wastewater management solutions in Lesbos Island that I showed before, and how it connects to the digital world. So we have an integration of low-cost sensors and more industrial sensors, monitoring everything through a PLC in order to control the system by processing the generated data and result in a set of indicators. And we have several categories of indicators that are on the left. And this DSS tool uses a traffic light approach to communicate more effectively the results of users. And this also methodology is in line with the new ISO standard of 15920 that is currently in preparation. Now, in terms of regulation, it has been highlighted in the previous presentations also. Legislation could form a barrier, but it could also be an opportunity. So from the very beginning of our work, we mapped in the IDRUSA loops the different legislation, the relevant legislation, and we pinpointed positions where we could be in trouble or barriers, okay? So for example, I give you one very fast example. We also integrated a membrane post-treatment system in order to be able to make sure that we make the license for unrestricted water use. But in the end, we are operating the system without the membrane, and we are able to get the limits without this costly use of membranes. So we have been very effective in treating by combining anaerobic processes with constructed wetlands. IDRUSA has supported the EU policy multiple ways. We have developed two policy briefs, one on how the project supports the European Green Deal and providing suggestions in the recent evaluation of the Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive, focusing particularly on decentralized solutions. That is a core aspect of the project. We also developed a paper on policy and legislative barriers related to small water systems. The multi-sectoral water circularity assessment framework I mentioned before, and we also have a couple of deliverables that are related to NBS and water solutions that are freely available. Now, a couple of the discussion statements, I completely agree with the previous ones. So starting from the last one that was pinpointed in the previous presentations and also in the keynote presentation, I think we need to work with stakeholders in order to develop the NBS solutions. We need to work through a bottom-up approach, involving stakeholders through co-creation, co-design approaches. Including water governance, I think, is a must for NBS implementation. Of course, we need to see what to do with a revision of some legislation. Providing benefits, as Maria mentioned, could be an opportunity for better NBS integration. And drawing from our technical works, I think that IDRUSA can provide a very nice opportunity for downscaling the rural NBS that we did for a building level wastewater or water management, and even support the soil mining concept. So that's all from me. Thank you very much, and I will be happy to contribute to the upcoming conversation discussion.
Simos, thanks a lot. Thank you for this strong voice from the field, from projects. Because, of course, I mean, also because of the long experience of the IDRUSA projects across the past years. And I really have, I mean, a number of questions, and not only me, I mean, also receiving from the audience and LinkedIn, because you know this event is also web streamed through LinkedIn. So we're receiving questions for all the projects, all the speakers, all the panelists, and we're happy to discuss later on after the end of the presentation. So thank you so much. And once again, yes, I mean, also the choice of IDRUSA, which is a project working basically in rural area. It is because at the end of the day, I mean, water challenges has no boundaries. So water challenges are in the cities, water challenges are in the industrial settlement, are in the rural areas. But then we live, I mean, in a complex, interconnected world. And particularly in Europe, where industrial, rural, and urban settlements are mixed up, are very much connected. And another base solution could really represent this cross-cutting solution across the different environments, also to overcome the problem of the silos that have been characterizing our development, our societies in the past and still now years, and that also limited a lot, in my opinion, I mean, opinion of many, you know, the sustainable development of our society, particularly when we go to the management of the precious water resources. So once again, thank you so much for your presentation. And
thank
now
you.
We go to another project, which is UNILAB, which is today represented by the BTT, which is the research center of Finland. And I welcome Laura Wendling to take the floor and present this also very much interesting project. Thank you, Laura.
Great. Thank you, Andrea. So my name is Laura Wendling. I'm the coordinator of the UNILAB project. And as Andrea said, I'm from the VTT Technical Research Center of Finland. And I'm presenting on behalf of a very large group of collaborators to the project. What I'm going to talk about today is a little bit of a snapshot of some of the work we're doing in Tampere, Finland, which is one of our frontrunner cities. But as I'm going to keep emphasizing this throughout my talk, there's a lot more information available on our project website, which is www.unilab.eu. So our project involves 28 partners and 2 observers, and we have 10 cities involved, plus Guangzhou and the Brazilian network of smart cities. Our frontrunner cities are those where we're having very large-scale implementation of MBS are Eindhoven in the Netherlands, Genova in Italy, and Tampere in Finland. And I won't go through the whole description of the project itself, but suffice to say that we are in innovation action and we're focused on nature-based solutions to enhance climate and water resilience of urban areas. So we started in June of 2017. So we've been running for exactly 5 years as of this point, and we will finish at the end of November this year. I think I'll just move on because we're a little short on time. So I thought I'd start with this question about how our project is really contributing to a water smart society, or the vision of Water Europe. And the part about this that I thought was really important and that really resonated with us as a project is recognizing the value of water and realizing how we can manage these water resources such that scarcity and pollution are avoided. And I thought about this and realized there are really four core ways, or four pillars through which UNILAB has addressed this. And the first is stakeholder engagement. So it's really widely engaging the full scope of stakeholders, through very inclusive processes. It's not a quick process, but it's something that is iterative and takes quite a bit of time to really get everybody involved and to provide opportunities for the full range of stakeholders to engage in the project activities. Then we've collaboratively developed and implemented stormwater management solutions, in the case of Tampere. Then we allowed our stakeholders to build knowledge and social capacity, through the implementation activities, as well as the ongoing monitoring, management, design of supporting measures. So, for example, in the photos on the lower left-hand corner, you can see, little people with wheelbarrows. What they're doing here is putting duckboards around a protected area, a lake that's a little bit marshy. And these duckboards, which are essentially boards that sit on top of other boards and just raise the walkway out of the mud, means that whole area becomes more accessible throughout the year, but it also makes it accessible to people who need a solid surface for mobility reasons. So, and I sort of covered this, but finally our fourth pillar is really the adaptive management. So in keeping with the project cycle for nature-based solutions, that act, adjust, adapt stage, we're adaptively managing our nature-based solutions and using modeling, monitoring, and scenario building to inform the decision making. So when we talk about what's sustainable and how we manage things in the long term, we need to think both about social, environment, and financial sustainability. And this is one of the things that I think Andrea mentioned this earlier in his presentation, that's been really well addressed recently by one of the NBS task forces that wrote a nice handbook on nature-based enterprise and how NBS contribute there. Our project obviously was financed by public funds, but one of the things that we did in Tampere that was really quite interesting was we had an innovation voucher program to support small-scale nature-based solutions. And the two images you can see here on the left are actually community gardens that were built within housing cooperatives. So this is in Finland, and perhaps it's a little bit different than in some other countries. When you buy a house, you're actually buying shares in the housing company. So the housing company then owns the land, and everybody contributes to the maintenance of the area, the space. So in this case, these housing companies applied for these small vouchers from the city of Tampere, and they used those to partially finance community gardens. So it's a little hard to see, but these are basically vegetable gardens. And what doesn't show in these images is that there's rainwater tanks that capture rainwater to support garden plant growth throughout the summer. Because although Finland seems like it would be a fairly wet country, given that we have nearly 200,000 lakes, we do have hydrologic drought in the summer. So water management is something that is very much on the minds of people, particularly those who are gardening. So there's water capture and reuse solutions here, some nice gardens. And really the whole purpose of this innovation voucher program was to catalyze private investment, to get people thinking about, you can do nature-based solutions at home. You can do them at a small scale. You don't need to wait for the public, a public party to finance something for you. We've also seen that the co-creative processes in UNILAB have been adopted and are being used in other projects, and in particular in a circular economy project, Kieppi, that's ongoing now. So the slides I think are being made available to everyone afterwards, and you can check out the Kieppi project through this link. Finally, before I move to the next slide, the learnings from the project have also been integrated into some ongoing policy initiatives. So, or I guess not only policy initiatives, but actions. So things like monitoring and measuring the load to the local sewers and determining whether or how nature-based solutions and the distributed management of water can contribute to better water management in the future. updating our water quality monitoring programs elsewhere in the city beyond those districts where UNILAB has demonstrated, preparing roadmaps, management plans, so on and so forth. And coming back to how the community engagement has been really important. The EU biodiversity strategy is obviously something that's going to have a great deal of impact across Europe. And our own biodiversity surveys in the area where we have implemented MBS have shown a significant increase in the abundance and diversity of both insect and plant species in and around the NBS. In particular, the pollinator species that we looked at favored the lush meadow environments that were established in our alluvial meadows in this Warris district. But this is really a really cool way that we can engage with our citizens. So we have citizens using the iNaturalist app, which anyone can use to document pollinators, arthropods, and heteroptera species, so beetles. And this really just augments our scientific surveys, but it allows people to learn at the same time, learn about what is biodiversity, why does it matter, why is this important to you, how can you contribute to it. In the summer of 2020 and 2021, there were 145 citizen observations, and they found 74 species, which I think is really cool. In the images in the lower left, you can see there's, I don't know if you can actually see this very well, but there's a little map, and there's a block that's kind of highlighted, and every little red dot in there is showing an observation from a specific time period. I think that was a month. You can also see little kids with dip nets, which I'm sure is familiar to a lot of us, but we've engaged the school children in water quality monitoring to some extent. So they're using little backpack water quality monitoring kits, and hand in hand with that, they're doing macroinvertebrate analyses. So capturing macroinvertebrates, learning how to identify them. And again, this is perhaps on its own, it's not going to give us all of the information that we need to really understand the changes in biodiversity that occur after MBS implementation. But it's really important to help build that social capacity, and it does augment the studies by the scientists. We're planning a BioBlitz monitoring challenge of pollinators in summer. And one of the things that's come out of this has been that it's been so popular with the community, partially because they were involved in the biodiversity monitoring and really understanding why this is so important, that now there's new river restoration and new water monitoring projects planned throughout the city. And it's also helped the city to prepare a new roadmap for green space. So very quickly moving on, essentially, I guess we were asked to answer this question about how has a project contributed to reducing carbon emissions, mitigating and adapting to climate change. Well, the project has. We have a lot of results now, and we're working on collating these and really, I guess, coming up with the concrete answers. But suffice to say, at present in Tampere, in the stormwater management solutions that I'm talking about today, we've seen reduced energy use and CO2 emissions from the centralized as compared to the centralized treatment of stormwater and seepage water. Reductions in peak flood height and the extent of flooding. This image here on the left actually is showing how the stormwater retention ponds and alluvial meadows can capture, retain the stormwater rather than sending it all directly to the housing areas. It's kind of contained within these areas that allow for the floodwaters to recede slowly, infiltrate. And we've definitely seen a huge improvement in the quality of stormwater that's entering receiving surface water bodies, to the extent that the stormwater that's entering those water bodies is now indistinguishable from the clean water that's in the lakes already. So in terms of contributing to relevant policy actions, the city of Tampere has targeted carbon neutrality by 2030. And so there's really a lot of interest in understanding how do the nature-based solutions compare with these more conventional gray infrastructure solutions in terms of the materials, the carbon footprints. And what we've discovered through our carbon footprinting calculations is that the materials that are selected for use in the NBS and the source of those materials, so how far they need to be transported, are really critical or key to the carbon footprint. In particular, we did this for a biofilter that you can see here on the right, and that was used to treat seepage waters from a legacy landfill. We're currently in the process of doing the full carbon accounting, which is a little bit, I guess, maybe not complicated, but we need to have, a couple years worth of information so we can understand the seasonal differences, seasonality. But we will report that soon. I guess watch this space. We should have it in about 6 months. Finally, what have we learned, I guess, and how does it relate to policy, or what are the implications for policy? Well, effectively, we've learned that embedding nature-based solutions within existing regulations and work processes can be challenging, can be really difficult. In general, the siloed nature of how we've done work within municipal departments can make it pretty difficult to realize the full range of the potential benefits. We see that there's a lot more time required for changing landscapes and attitudes than maybe we had originally anticipated, and that the open sharing of knowledge and information is absolutely essential. And finally, that we really need more evidence of the full range of benefits and trade-offs of NBS in order to catalyze private investment and widespread uptake. There's a lot of interest, but sometimes to really have the commitment of our decision makers and to have that private investment in NBS, what we need is the real evidence of their effectiveness in the longer term. And finally, that the collaborative and inclusive processes that underpin NBS and that build trust and commitment are the real strength. So it catalyzes these strong, enduring networks, enhances social bridging bonding. This is where we start to get the ideas about new procurement processes and certification schemes, financing approaches. I guess that just opens up a whole new world in terms of how we can collaboratively make decisions and move forward. And sorry, my last slide. What did I think I'd like to talk about? NBS is known as an umbrella concept. So nature-based solutions take under their wing, I guess, all of these preceding concepts like ecosystem-based adaptation, disaster risk reduction. I won't read everything, it's here on the left, but how do we gather and exploit all this existing knowledge from these preceding concepts whilst fully acknowledging and integrating the unique aspects of nature-based solutions that differentiate them and add value? And I guess what I'm getting at here is, what kind of certification or standardization scheme do we need for NBS? And then the second question that came to my mind was really about the adaptive management, because we talk a lot about co-creation, but we seem to talk less about co-monitoring and co-management. And what I'd like to understand is, how can we as a community, not only scientific community, but practitioners and the full range of stakeholders, understand what adaptive management is, and then how do we support this through our existing technologies? So that's all I have for today. And I guess I'd just like to finally acknowledge some of the key persons on our team who are Maria de Belvic and Arto Laikari, from VTT Marit Sarkalati, Sala Lapanen and Kaya Mustijärvi in Tampere, and then Annika Kettunen and Mervi Kokkola from Rambo. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Laura. Impressive as well. And also what I see from presentation, that the basic concept of bringing back nature to cities. But then we can say our society should be able to bring back nature to nature, and develop our structures and infrastructure in a compatibility mode, which is should be more oriented on putting the basis on nature than adapting nature to our structure. I think this will be a point for discussion after the last presentation of what Project Europe today. And now I have the pleasure of calling Antonia Lorenzo from BioAzul, representing the Connecting Nature project. Antonia is also the leader of the working group on water and agri-food sustainable systems. And well, I mean, this is the last presentation. Then we start the discussion about, I mean, this today really, I think that we had really a lot of inputs, valuable inputs on nature-based solutions and what could be next steps, I mean, to be taken in order to promote, to foster, and to have really nature back to cities and to our societies. Antonia, I'm the pleasure to invite you to conclude this set of presentations, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Thank you for inviting me to present a Connecting Nature project. And also, hold on a second. I will just, now it should be fine, right? You see my...
Yes, it's visible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. So thank you also the Multisource project for the invitation and have the opportunity to present Connecting. Connecting Nature is a big project. I'm also and only one of the partners that have been working for the last year in the project, and I will try my best to present many of the achievements we have in the project. So it's a H2020 project with a consortium of more than 30 partners representing 16 countries, and we also have some specific hubs in Brazil, China, Korea, and Caucasus, Georgia, and Armenia. And for the last 5 years, all these partners have been co-working with different type of stakeholders, local authorities, communities, industrial partners, entrepreneurs, NGOs, academic, and all of us, we have invested time and effort in promoting and supporting the large-scale implementation of nature-based project in urban settings. The project is entitled Co-Production with Nature for City Transition in Innovation and Governance, and the coordinator is the Trinity College Dublin in Ireland. The proposal was submitted in a specific call for smart and sustainable cities, and the budget is around 13 million, but the EC contribution is like 11.5. Connecting Nature is just over. The last day was the 31st of May this year. It started in June 2017, and it has lasted 5 years. And if I have to select one overall goal of this project, I would say that is to innovate with nature and to build climate resilient cities. Next. So the first thing I would like to highlight is that Connecting Nature includes the participation of 10 cities, some front-runner cities like, again, Glasgow and Poznan, and also fast-follower cities with A Coruña, Burgas, Ioannina, Málaga, Nicosia, Sarajevo, and Pablos Melas. All these municipalities have been working in the past year to support the implementation of these nature-based solutions at local level. And all these solutions are focused on renaturing urban areas, and also to integrate in these nature-based solutions into the urban plans, the urban agendas, the urban greening actions. However, we have realized that one of the main challenges is that related to the impact assessment of these solutions, how to measure their positive impact in cities in terms of their contribution to biodiversity, for instance. And one of the conclusions from the project shows that when talking to the teams in the cities, that there is a really diversity of the expertise with the city teams in relation to evaluation indicators. So within Connecting Nature, a series of resources have been developed to assist these practitioners in the planning and delivery and the maintenance of the nature-based solutions. For instance, a guide book for technical solution was developed to consider the technical aspect of nature-based solution and the consistent services they provide, but also this impact assessment guidebook to to develop these robust monitoring and evaluation plans for the Nature-Based Solution project. This guide is really to support planners and decision makers in building the needed solid evidence on the multiple benefits of nature-based solutions. In relation to this guidebook, review of 93 environmental indicators was performed by academic partners within the project, as well as an evaluation methodology to support these cities in the use of this indicator. Also, some partners from Connecting Nature have participated in the publication evaluating the impact of nature-based solutions and a handbook for practitioners, which is a really useful document to support the adoption of common indicators and methods for assessing the performance and the impact of different types of nature-based solutions. And last but not least, the co-impact tool was recently developed as a decision support tool, allowing the cities, the practitioners, the users to create this impact assessment plan on their nature-based solution project. So co-impact guides you step by step through an intuitive process where the user selects the target they intend to reach with the nature-based solution projects, and the tool provides a set of indicators adapted to them. As a final result, the user will obtain a plan for the project with a description of each of the selected indicators, the scientific evidence behind it, as well as the recommended methodology and instruments for its measurement. These resources I'm mentioning and the others I will mention in my presentation are all available in the Connecting Nature website in case you want to get them. In relation to nature-based solutions and climate policy, the majority of the city exemplars in Connecting Nature relate to the planning and the delivery of new green areas or the restoration of existing ones, which are aligned with climate change policies at different scales. In this sense, cities in Connecting Nature have done an exhaustive work to align their nature-based solution with local strategy policies, but also with the local, not only with the local, but with the global priorities like the Sustainable Development Goals. We have produced a short guide to support the needed collaborative work among the relevant city departments to build the case and to communicate how the nature-based solution can generate a wider benefit. In turn, this guide also supports breaking these silos. There were many times mentioned these silos in the afternoon. Within the city hall departments, we have realized that they are not very well connected, to be honest. And these departments in principle are working in different issues, and maybe they have different priorities, but at the end of the day, it's not like this. So this guide will support them to break these silos, to make them to work in a collaborative way, and also build other alliances with external key actors, external to the municipality, but important in the city level. To facilitate this collaborative work, we also have produced in the frame of Connecting Nature a guidebook that outlines the role of governance in implementing nature-based solutions, and very, very important as well on how to develop this collaborative governance process. And this is also very much related with co-production and how bringing a diverse set of actors is needed. This has been also mentioned this afternoon, to design in a collaborative manner a nature-based solution that will respond to specific needs. For this, we have created a practical guide to help using this co-production for nature-based solution and design and implement your processes step by step. Also, in Connecting Nature, we have it has been demonstrated that designing and implementing nature-based solution on a scale that delivers environmental, social, and financial benefits, that builds resilience and benefits to biodiversity, again, for example, is a very complex process with many different issues to consider. In response to this, within the project, we have developed a process tool, a framework, the Connecting Nature framework, to help cities and other organizations navigate the path toward the larger scale implementation of nature-based solution projects. The process runs through 3 phases: planning, delivery, and stewardship. And throughout each phase, there are 7 separate elements that city and other entities involved need to consider, helping them to shape their individual nature-based solution project. All these elements complement the 3 dimensions of sustainability: environmental, social, and financial. And the guidebook is also available in the website, as I told you before. In relation also on how connecting nature contributes to achieve, in addition, this financial and business model guidebook, I was jumping this, in addition to ensure a long-term sustainability and scalability of nature-based solution projects, Connecting Nature has produced a finance and business model guidebook to help securing the financing for all these 3 phases of the nature-based solution project. Moreover, Connecting Nature has also customized the well-known business model Canvas tool and has created an easy-to-use canvas to plan business models for nature-based solution and capture the idea in a very visual format. Now, yes. In relation to how Connecting Nature contributes to achieve this water smart society, what we would like to mention today, one of the key innovations of the project is the Connecting Nature enterprise platform. This is an online marketplace for buyers and suppliers of nature-based solutions. Since finding this skill and experimental suppliers of nature-based solution is actually one of the major roadblocks for cities, we have identified also looking to them. Within the platform, there are different communities of interest, and one of them is about nature-based solutions for water management, and this is the community that is being led by Bioretentions in its creation in 2020. This community includes enterprises which are specialized in providing solutions for different water challenges like water scarcity, water reclaim, recovery of resources, closing the water loop. And at the moment, we are 50 enterprises from 15 different countries. And I strongly encourage you all to get into the platform and register yourselves. You can have access to many resources and also to opportunities and that are being posted by the community members. Okay, in terms of regulations and directives for nature-based solutions, I would like to talk about the publication, and I think it was mentioned by Andrea at the beginning of the event today, and that this publication has been launched by the European Commission as an independent expert report on the role of nature-based solutions in the transition towards a nature-positive economy. Some of the partners of Connecting Nature have been involved in the development of this publication, Trinity College Dublin as the coordinator, and ICLEI as well. And this is aimed not only at economic policy makers, but it's also of high relevance for policy makers across the multiple domains: public sector, agencies, researchers, civil society, and NGO representatives, as well as investors, financial institutions, industries, nature-based enterprises, delivering nature-based solutions, etc. The document includes a final chapter with key issues and recommendations to influence the shift to a nature-positive economy with nature-based solutions, playing a key role. Recommendation about standards or measurement and evaluation were identified from open responses by a working group of experts through a consultation process. The results from this consultation process and the summary of responses from different stakeholders is also available in this consultation report in the draft white paper on the nature-based economy. And to finalize, I have here a couple of discussion statements as well. I mean, these 2 issues are, in my opinion, very relevant from the nature-based enterprise perspective. We have this also developed this concept within Connecting Nature, and Bioretentions is understood as a nature-based enterprise. And for us, they are very relevant to support the implementation of nature-based solution and how their role contributes also to water security and quality in cities. So the first one is the public procurement. So I believe public procurement has to be one of the main drivers for market stimulation of nature-based solutions. We have to understand that only in 2017, the public purchase of goods and services was estimated about 2 trillion euros, and this is about 40% of the gross domestic product. Nature-based enterprises, we are ready to deliver nature-based solutions, further invest in innovation, and to develop improved solutions to cope with some specific challenges the cities are facing. We believe that nature-based solutions and nature-based enterprises have the needed potential to boost local economies, create business opportunities, create jobs within this climate emergency, health and economic crisis, and the need to transit to this decarbonized economy. While there are several types of public procurement in which nature-based solutions could be framed, such as green procurement or innovative procurement, and also the most present one, which is the circular procurement. And connected to this circular procurement, I also believe that nature-based solutions should be considered as a key players to tackle these circularity challenges in cities. It has been also said this afternoon. The implementation of nature-based solutions contributes to the circularity of water, nutrients, energy, and will support the cities to achieve their goals in terms of the Circular Economy Action Plan, the Green Deal, the Sustainable Development Goals, by implementing projects that seek to contribute on the closed energy and material loops within supply chains while minimizing, and in the best case, also avoiding any kind of negative environmental impact and waste creation. Again, private sector, which I represent, the nature-based enterprises, we are ready to deliver the solution to the municipalities and contribute to the circular economy by the implementation of nature-based solution projects. And that was all. I have to also acknowledge my colleague Gerardo Gonzalez, who has been working in Connecting Nature from the very beginning with this big and marvelous team, and who has supported me also in preparing the presentation of this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Antonia. Thanks a lot for the presentation and for all the work done by this project that came to the end just a few days ago. So there's a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge built, and I think that this will be also a great opportunity for the participants to Water Project Europe today and panelists and attendees as well. To go more deeper into the production of these projects. I find a lot of important publication that we used and disseminated as well. So, thank you all, the speakers, for your great contribution. Now, time has come for a discussion about hundreds of points and been raised during the presentation and during the keynote speech. But I would like, to connect for a while to something that came up in the last presentation of Antonia, and another point that was raised by Laura. What I see is that not only Antonia in the presentation, but also another project was highlighting the matter that public procurement or new approach can help support the MBS implementation and adoption in cities and not only in the cities. At the same time, I was really impressed by the point made by Laura about the matter that the traditional solid nature approach by the department of the municipality slows down the utilization of nature-based solutions. Now, this is a question that is about, can new public procurement rule regulation can really support and reduce, silent approach and other problems that are basically related also to the matter of investment that are needed for establishing nature-based solutions. And I understand that investment in nature-based solutions could be bulky, could be big. And so this is a question that I asked you all, and particularly to you panelists, how do you see this? Public procurement, new settings, new rules of public procurement can help nature-based solution to be more attractive, or let's say, could this facilitate the implementation and planning in urban areas of NBS? And this is a question that, for example, okay, let's address this to one of you, one by one. I start with Laura Wendling, because there was this impressive point about the traditional sacred nature of municipal department. Laura, can public procurement facilitate the adoption of nature-based solutions?
Absolutely. I guess, and one of the things that's been successful in UNILAB is that we've established our nature-based solutions in these living lab areas. So the procurement rules are relaxed compared to the public procurement processes that are standard within the cities. And that has really helped in terms of getting the stakeholders involved in defining solutions and some of the local material producers, for example. But I actually think that there's probably more examples of this from Connecting Nature.
Okay, that's fine. Then of course, we see it nature-based solutions are solutions that are basically financially supported by cities. But what would be, the interest of the business sector in nature-based solutions? What would be the leverage for the business? Because I remember that there was a report from the Economic World Forum a couple of years ago, or it was 2020, 2021, for which business, let's say the most important representative of the business world, the business environment, said we cannot make business as usual because we are overexploiting natural resources. And there was also with particular attention to water. So is this enough, would be this enough to create that magic moment to have, really a private-public partnership investing in nature and of course in nature-based solutions? Could this be possible? Could be this support? Maria, may I ask you this? This is a financial issue, it's a financial challenge. But how can we see the leverage for involving, or let's say putting better together the public and the private sector on nature-based solutions?
There are many different ways, but one thing that I thought of immediately was basically in the real estate development kind of process. First of all, there are a lot of public housing agencies who are often more sustainability oriented as part of their policies, but they often lack the know-how or also like the network to these private companies that basically have this know-how and have the technologies. So definitely there needs to be partnerships there and sort of the knowledge exchange. And also in sort of the consultation processes related to the tendering for the construction companies or the architecture firms and stuff like that. Then there could be public and private actors, involved in these kind of consultations that would rather be publicly facilitated, probably. Unless, there is a personal passion for sustainability or for nature-based solutions, then of course we've seen that it's also private driven. But if we're talking about sustainability, which incurs higher costs, it's usually more from the public side. And it's also a little bit the role of the public side to drive this a bit more, as long as, at least now, as long as NBS are not the default solution. So that's where the public sector has a most important role. And also when it comes to financing in the long term, sort of the operation and the maintenance of NBS, something that in the private sector, when it comes to urban development and actually planning the sites and implementing the construction, it's really the maintenance is the main barrier, definitely. Financing the maintenance in the future, because even if I don't know, someone from the construction sector understands, like, okay, it would be great to have more green spaces, it would be great to have more innovative greening, but it's simply very costly to maintain as compared to concrete. So they just go for concrete because they want to make profit as well. So it requires a lot more involvement or steering in the public sector.
Thank you very much. This is interesting because just today I had a discussion with one of my colleagues about the matter that if you have to make a choice between gray infrastructure and green infrastructure that we can include in the Naturebased solutions, then my view is that if we invest in gray infrastructure, then maintenance might be even more costly, because nature is able to, in principle, to maintain itself, let's say, with a natural cycle. While at the same time, investing in gray infrastructure means to invest in reinforced concrete infrastructure, in iron, steel, and whatsoever. That is, of course, it is a deterioration that, and this kind of infrastructure cannot repair themselves. So we need a lot of investment. So I think that's planning. But I see the point. Maintenance is another big question mark when we have the time comes. To decide on what to invest. Tony, please.
Yeah, I would like to add something on this, because I agree with Maria, and I think this should be driven somehow by the public administration. It's really something. It's a service in the city, and of course there are possibilities to have these public partnerships, but there are other ways. I just want to share an experience we have at the moment. We are working in a small project, this cascade funding project for making the construction sector more sustainable. And then we are working with a green facade, what we call vertical ecosystem, and this is also Kamal said something at the beginning about this green and blue infrastructure. So we as Biofuel, we are treating grey water from the toilets of a hotel, so the building is private, and then this clean water is being used to irrigate the facade. It's a green facade, like a vertical garden, and this would mean, of course, some investment. Well, now it's covered by the project, but it would mean some investment and also some maintaining costs for sure. But we have realized that this is something that, some of the visitors or those are going to the hotel are willing to pay a little bit more to stay in a hotel, which is having this green infrastructure. So this could be another way. Public administration, I think, should be really the driving force for the whole thing. For cities also to provide the citizen on these square meters of green that is good for health and well-being. But also there are other ways to green cities, and this is happening in Malaga, in the city center. You don't have much space, and there was a question in the chat about the challenges of these nature-based solutions in the south. So we don't have much space, we don't have much water, so we have to move to this kind of approaches. So whatever you have water that is, it can be recycled or reclaimed, use it for greening your cities, and as you don't have land because everything is constructed, use some vertical walls. And yeah, that could be another way. You are muted, Andrea.
I was muted. Thank you. Very good points as well. And then I see, two reactions from Laura and Maria. Who is first? Laura, I think. Yes, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on that choice between green, blue-green or gray infrastructure. And when we think about water management alone, it makes a lot of sense to, it's tempting to look only at the cost, or the benefit for water management. When we start to add the co-benefits, we consider that, nature-based solutions or blue, green, gray integrated infrastructures can provide all sorts of additional benefits, some of which are much less tangible, much more difficult to measure. When we think about what makes our urban areas pleasant and livable, what are the potential long-term reduced costs of healthcare, or particularly due to mental health issues. We saw a lot of it during the COVID pandemic, how important our green spaces became. So on the one hand, we can consider our green spaces as places for water management, to reduce runoff, increase infiltration, recharge our aquifers, improve the quality of the water that's running off into surface water bodies. On the other hand, these green spaces provided a place for stress relief and recreational opportunity, and really reportedly improved the mental health of individuals during a really difficult time in our life, all of our lives. So that's just a really tiny example of why we need to consider the full range of co-benefits when we talk about the costs and benefits and making comparisons. That's my only comment.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Maria.
Actually, my comment is also quite similar to that of Laura. So it's related to also, you're very interested in an important statement that you said, basically nature maintains itself to a large degree. And I think, when we're making these cost benefit comparisons, it's really important to consider the multiple benefits that NBS can have, because if you compare the operational costs, the operational spending on NBS over a long time, compared to concrete as a sort of just a way of sealing land or covering land. And of course, concrete will be much cheaper, but if you then factor in all the maintenance of people's well-being or public health, or even just building, cooling, or infrastructure, maintenance from flooding and things like that, it actually becomes potentially much cheaper. And that's a calculation we definitely need to make and publicize much more.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Simos.
Yes, thank you. So I come from a country where in the public procurement, usually the one that bids the lowest, the cheapest gets the work. So I think that integrating in the public procurement co-benefits, not favoring per se nature-based solutions, but building on the benefits that Laura mentioned, like energy efficiency, water circularity, water reuse, decreasing the heat waves, etc. All these important aspects could be integrated and provide an advantage to the ones that choose select these solutions. Also, nature-based solutions can be low-cost solutions. If we go to the let's say example of constructed wetlands, in terms of OPEX, they are really low, and they outcompete activated sludge process, but they suffer from the land requirements. So if in urban areas you have increased cost of land, then it's difficult. But there are also hybrid solutions, like aerated constructed wetlands or electroactive constructed wetlands, some of which we've tested in our project, that could actually reduce a lot the footprint of NBS, so they can offset some of these footprint disadvantages that often exist.
Thank you so much. I would like also anyway, with panels, we had a discussion, weeks and months back about the matter of making a choice between centralized and then decentralized solutions. And this is something that we saw today, which, the matter of the investment, the cost of the maintenance, but also overcoming this culture problem about the adoption of MBS in a new vision. About bringing back nature to cities. So it's a cultural change. It's an investment challenge for sure. There are policy implications in terms of how policy and legislation can support this important change. But this is like to ask. And Paolo, because we discussed this, but I would like to have his thoughts and his opinion on the choice of centralized solution against decentralized solution supports the adoption of nature-based solutions in the long term.
Yes. Hello. Can you? I don't know if you can hear me. And yes, Andrea, thank you also for this opportunity to also to attend and to follow this presentation. Allow me before also reply to your questions, perhaps also to congratulate you for such initiatives, because I think here what it is also very important is and this is for me is a key message, is that we have also to bring together also different views and different type of projects. Here we have a very nice example of projects which has been funded within, the biodiversity, natural-based solution part of, environmental programs, but then the projects that were, more in looking more on water, sustainable management of water resources. And there you can see, very good examples, because, the word, nature-based solutions has, of course, as it was also clearly also mentioned in the keynote also presentation, has, a very wide range of type of activities, which, sometimes they have, they may not have the term, of nature-based solutions per se, but actually there are also nature-based solutions. I think this is an important also message. I would like also to try to also comment on some of the questions that I think this was very good, that the project also at the end also provides also some questions. But I think that this is also perhaps I wanted to also to stress that these are perhaps also the questions that we think that the project yourself you have also to find, let's say, the replies to these questions, because this is what we would like also to have. For instance, you mentioned very often, about the lack of awareness and information. Of course, this is an important, but the question is what we have to do. Do we have other examples? If you can show us, what we have to do, for instance, to make this, to operationalize this. And this is also, I've seen, for instance, very good example we have also from the Hydrusa, this good, replication potential. It will be important to know how this happened. What are the characteristics which make this possible? This also can benefit to other projects. Again, also the example that we have from the UNALAB project on this innovative voucher program, who had allowed, to implement some solutions. So try to see under which conditions these experiences can also replicate it, how we can also, I think this is important, that I would like also to mention. Then what is, as regards also from your questions, I think, yes, I think this is important also in particular, also I think I've seen also these questions, and the potential that we have now in in the third world, where there is now this conflict between urbanization and the need also that we know that very often these centralized management approaches that we have also in Europe may not be also appropriate. So there we believe that this is also an opportunity also to try also to see how this centralized, decentralized type of approaches, and then this also can also help to look on natural-based solutions, which also by definition are more, let's say, local scale, are more decentralized solutions. How I think this combination, this is important. And then what is important is that these, let's say, actions have also to have as an objective, as I said, to be more operational. We have at the end of the project to provide, guidelines to, in particular, to the policymakers, to see how they can also use, how they can make this, the discussion that we have, how to convince, the water utilities, the water managers also to implement these solutions that they have, and going beyond, the traditional more engineering. But then you have also to provide the kind of a guidance tool that can help him to compare the benefits going beyond also the costs. I think these are important elements, and we are considering also to have also some actions in this in the next work program. But I would like also, if I may, also have few two more minutes also to mention two other important initiatives where we think that can also promote the uptake of natural-based solutions in general. Sustainable solutions in these areas. First of all, I would like also to mention about the European missions. As you know, we have also these missions in Horizon Europe, which of course is not only research and innovation, going beyond, let's say, this research and innovation dimension, and the missions of trying also to mobilize also other policy tools, in particular also in member states, regions, also to implement some of the actions, and also mobilize also financing sources, both private and also public, ensure also the synergy with the other existing EU funding. We know very often we have a lot of structural funds in several countries. We have also the life projects. These are enormous opportunities where we can also make a next also step, and trying also to provide also opportunities also to demonstrate better, to increase also awareness, to implement some of the solutions in more large scale. And I think, as you know, there are several of these missions are water related and very relevant. We have the cities mission. We have also the climate adaptation. We have the ocean, which speak also about restoration. So there, I think these are a lot of opportunities, and then I would advise you also to look there. And then the other point is also that I would like also to stress is that the also in the context of the new, the European Green Deal, and as you know, this recovery resilience plan of that member states also have also to develop and to submit and to be adopted, and these are linked also with a lot of financial also resources, and many of these, the majority of these projects have been also submitted and assessed quite positive of and what is important is that in many of these national recovery resilience plans, there are a lot of funding also for also strengthening also this uptake of research in innovative solutions. So I think these are the two opportunities that I would also to try also to promote, and I think it would be important also that you also try to benefit from that. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you, Bernard. I think that's you covered a lot of things, and thank you for your comprehensive view and really understanding also of the problem, because we really need, I mean, to work in with a systemic approach, and there is a need, I mean, to join, I mean, to have all forces and resources join hands. I mean, really to bring back nature to cities and to our societies in general. And well, I mean, we are close, I mean, to conclude this event, and I would welcome other comments from the speakers. We have really a lot of questions from the audience, and what I think is that we'll collect all these questions and send to the speakers for having, I mean, additional comments and answers. Jamie, back to you, I mean, to the Multisource project and the experience of Multisource project. Any comments from your side?
I would just like to thank all of the speakers and all the panelists today, and all of the people who have joined us for this event. It's clear that there's a wide range of perspectives to take into account when we're looking into nature-based solutions, especially in the urban environment, especially those that are related to water management. There's calls for dealing with the full range, or identifying the full range of co-benefits that are available in these systems. That seems to still be an obstacle that we're yet to overcome, taking into account both the tangible and non-tangible benefits. We've also talked today about the intensification and technology development needs, specifically for urban areas, and among other things, looking towards as a collateral group, providing guidelines and recommendations for policymakers. In that sense, what we plan to do with this, the outcome of this event will be to anticipate that a report will be prepared, which we hope to submit to the EU executive agency for endorsement and further development of the use of nature-based solutions in our cities. So with that, I would just like to thank everybody. I would also like to make a shameless plug for the International Water Association. I'm chair of the specialist group for wetland systems on water pollution control. We're also very active in this field, and there are many people in the audience today who are also members of that group. I would just encourage you, if you have any questions about that group, or if you'd like to be involved, to please contact me. Thank you. Back to you, Andrea.
Thank you to all the contribution to the speakers. I mean, all the contribution from the audience, from pros, from European institutions. Has been really an inspiring event. I mean, amazing topics today under the lenses of for the sustainable development of our cities and the sustainable development of our societies from the water perspective. Don't forget that we are working here, I mean, to support the water sector, to support the water sector means to support really our society, because there's nothing that can work without water being available, as we say, I mean, at the right time, in the right quantity, the right quality to our society, and because it's a right for everybody, and it's the real engine of our economies and society. If there's any other issue to discuss, I mean, business to analyze, I would like, I mean, to close this event, to thank, I mean, all the projects, and particularly the Multisource support, because this is also basically thanks to the Multisource project that we've been able to organize this great event. So thank you so much once again to everybody. The presentations and the recording of the events will be available in few days. Once again, and we are going to develop, I mean, this report as Jamie anticipated. And so thank you so much once again. Thank you all, and see you, I mean, hopefully live, I mean, in one of the upcoming events of projects and other related opportunities. Thank you so much. Thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye bye. Take care.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.